Hey friends, thanks so much. This is a bit of an experimental episode here for me because what I'm doing is I'm recording it both for the podcast and for video. So we're going to see how this works, but I wanted to get this up online to see what people thought about it. So the talk comes from an interaction I had with a writers group a couple of weeks ago. I have the privilege of working with an author consultant, and I have a chance to sit in on their weekly encouragement team meetings. And I was asked to give a talk. And so I gave a talk on 4 things to do to get unstuck or to reignite your creativity. Because no matter what your field is, no matter whether it be business, whether it be just going to work every day or whatever the case may be, if you're in a place where you've got to be creative as an author or whatever it is, there's days you're just stuck and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to reignite yourself. Now, I've told people all the time, you can't live on the street corner of inspiration. You are going to starve. And what I mean by that is we just can't wait to be inspired to get to work. Sometimes we've just got to make the creativity happen. But it's really hard when you feel dried up or you feel stuck or just not creative. So to that group, I gave this talk about 4 things to do to unstick yourself, to reignite your creativity. And I thought it'd be fun to share here on the podcast and on the video as well, because it's a common problem with all of us, and I experienced it myself. And so these are tips that I use when the creativity is not there. Through Capitalized Marketing and Church Training Partners, I do a lot of writing, and sometimes that writing is for us, but sometimes it is writing for other clients, and you just can't wait. You've got to produce the work. There are deadlines, and so these are some of the tips that I do. So here it is. It's 4 tips, 4 things to do to reignite that creative spark or to help you get unstuck, okay? Here it is. Tip number 1. Pursue curiosity. Now, let's say that you have to write something for a client, or you're trying to finish a problem with some writing you're doing for yourself, and you're just stuck, and you feel like there are no creative juices there. What I often do is I pursue curiosity. I'll take a moment and say, okay, I'm stepping away from what I'm being creative with. What have I been curious about lately? What is it? And then I'll pursue it. And so that pursuit might be a Google search or a YouTube search, or maybe it was something I was looking for on a social media platform. And I'll use it as an opportunity to learn. I'll use it as an opportunity to be creative myself. Like, oh, that's what this means, or whatever the case may be. So for example, I was doing some writing for some authors, and we were talking about creativity, and I was having a hard time being creative, talking about creativity. And I remembered a band in the 80s that was really, really creative about the way they did their shows. They're very theatrical. So what I did is I went on YouTube and typed in that band and the year they were popular and live, and guess what? Their shows were online. So I watched a song or two and looked at their creativity online, and it totally got me inspired. And so I used that artist creativity. I was curious about it, and it reignited my own. It didn't necessarily give me an idea, but when I got back to the printed word, all of a sudden I could start writing again. Now, let me give you a word of caution here. You can go down an internet wormhole very, very quickly. You can get lost and spend an hour or two just pursuing things online, and it could be a waste of time. If the hour or two nets you a solution to your problem and you've got that much time, that's great. But don't get lost in the curiosity itself. Use what you're learning about to reignite your own curiosity, and it'll help you get back on track. So the first way to get unstuck, or the first way to reignite your curiosity, your creativity, is to pursue curiosity. Now, second is very important. Be a part of a creative community. Be a part of a creative community. Now, this needs to be either in person, or it's an online group, or it's a group chat that you're part of. Again, don't get lost on these groups, but find a group that's creative, a group that shares a desire to grow, shares a desire to express themselves, and you talk about it. Even say, hey, I'm stuck. What have you guys done to be unstuck lately? Or, hey, have any of you guys gone through a real drought lately? Tell me about it and tell me how you got out of it. Or, hey, did someone create something today? I'd really like to hear from you. What did you create today? Show me what you created today. And it will get your juices flowing. It'll help you get unstuck. You're part of that group. You might be able to help someone when they're in that situation. It's very important to find a creative community. Like, for example, we just recently started a private Facebook group called Capitalize Your Best. And it's for people who want to start businesses, because it's very easy to get dragged down and discouraged when you're starting your business. And that group, one of its purposes is going to serve to help people when they're just discouraged and they're stuck, like, hey, you can get out of it. So if you want to be a part of it, just look for Capitalize Your Best closed group. You got to ask to be a part of it, but neither here nor there. That creative community is intended to help me and to help others. So when you're stuck, pursue creative community. Okay? All right. Number 1 was pursue curiosity. 2 was be a part of a creative community. And then number three is, this one's a little different, but serve others. Serve others. You see, when you serve someone else, it is an act, you're giving, and it's also an act of like self-denial. Right? You're dying to yourself to help someone else. And it's an output of energy. It's an output of energy. Well, being creative is an output of energy. So when you give selflessly, like, I want to do this for this person, I want to make it better for them, I want to help them. When you do that, that's a lot like the act of creativity. So it reignites that spark. It seems counterintuitive. You're like, no, I need, I can't give any more. But when you give, it's such a similar action as creativity. It might ignite a spark. You might see someone react to your service, and it's like someone being encouraged by something you've created. So it's a worthwhile endeavor. So go just serve someone randomly. You can do something for someone in your house. You can do someone outside of your house. In our community, there's a wonderful coffee shop and a great Mexican restaurant, and they've got an organization that feeds the elderly. It started during the pandemic, and they've just kept it up, right? You know what? Signing up for that gets those creative juices flowing. Like, you feel good. I've helped someone. You're giving, and in that giving, all of a sudden, you might have that creative spark you didn't think about. You might get unstuck. So try serving others. Okay, so recap so far. What you want to do is you want to pursue curiosity when you're stuck, right? Be a part of a creative community when you're stuck. Or 3, serve others. So last one, 4. And this one is the most difficult, okay? This one's the most difficult. It might be the one you don't like, but it might be the one that really does it for you, okay? When you're stuck, or when your creative juices have stopped flowing, number 4, if those other 3 haven't worked, work harder. Sweat. Like, just stay. If you're a writer, stay on the page. Write something, even if it's bad. If you're a graphic designer, keep creating. Whatever the case may be, just put in the work. We can't live on the street corner of inspiration. This is what I told that group. If you want to live on the street corner of inspiration, meaning you want to wait till you're inspired to produce work, okay. If that's the way you want to go, you have to be satisfied with the result and the impact. Let me say that again. If you're only going to work when you're inspired, then you must be okay with the result and the impact. You're happy with the pace, and you're happy with the results you're getting and the impact you're making in people's lives. Otherwise, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to put in the work necessary for this to go well. So sometimes you just got to push through. You might say, I don't do my best work like that. Well, if you're stuck, you're stuck. You can go back and edit it sometimes later, but sometimes you just have got to work harder to produce it. Okay, so let's recap. Let's say you're stuck, your creative juices aren't flowing. 4 things that you can do to reignite that spark or to get unstuck. Okay, number 1, pursue curiosity. Go out and learn about what someone else is doing, right? 2, become part of a creative community. Text group, Facebook group, personal group, whatever the case may be. 3, serve others, do something for others, be inspired by what you see. And 4, sometimes you just got to work harder. I hope this has been encouragement to you. Maybe this experiment of both podcasts and YouTube, maybe it's something you enjoyed. Let me know one way or the other. We'll be back next week. We'll see you on what platform. And I've enjoyed it a ton. If you've liked this, please be sure to screenshot it, share it with others, leave a review, whatever the case may be. And I appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much.